Keeshan today, our very special guest. Some know him as Captain Kangaroo. And I remember you, if I may go back just a couple of years, as Clarabelle. You was the original Clarabelle, weren't you, on Howdy Doody? You ran into Bob Smith. Tell us about that part of you.
You're very old.
Thank you.
I know.
Thank you very much for being on the show today, Bob, and we'll be back. No, I'm just,
Yes, I started my television career in 1947 with Howdy Doody when it originally went on the air. I was a page boy at NBC in those days, doing undergraduate work at Fordham University. And who else was with me? Someone beloved by Baltimore, Stu Kerr. Stu Kerr was a page boy with me on the page staff. And I met Bob Smith, and I did some research for his writers, and Howdy Doody went on the air, and they said, how would you like to carry things on the set for children? And I did, prizes and props and that sort of thing. And they put a clown suit on me, and a few months later, character Clarabelle was born, and that was the beginning of television. We had, our whole NBC network was New York, Philadelphia, and Syracuse. And in a matter of 3 years, television just exploded. And instead of 80,000 sets, which there were then,
amazing,
there were like 30 million in the country. And I had a career, and I was firmly established in children's television.
You have children of your own. Did your children grow up calling you Captain Kangaroo or Dad?
No, we kept our children very much away from it because we wanted them to have a normal life. My youngest, Maeve, who's now 28 years old and just gave birth to a grandson, second grandson. Maeve, I remember when she was about 4 years old, came to visit me in the studio. We were going to the circus, I think, and we had just finished the show, and I was in costume, and her mother brought her into the studio, and she crawled up into my lap as any 4-year-old might, and we had a little discussion, and then I excused myself. I went to the dressing room, and I cleaned up, came out in my street clothes, and Maeve looked up at me and said, Dad, you should have been here. You just missed the captain. Oh. So we knew that we had been successful in keeping the two separate. Either that or, as her brother said, Maeve is not too with it.
you know, going back to Clarabelle, that character, Clarabelle, and Clarabelle never talked. Used to, how'd you like that? Used to honk his horn all the time. That was a great character.
I never saw Clarabelle, so I don't know what you're talking about.
She's much too young.
Go rent a tape sometime. Howdy Doody, did you like that show?
Yeah, it was kind of, it was fun to do. It was a mystery to us because the plot line was very complex, as you probably recall, and the actors working the show really didn't understand the plot line, so in that sense it was difficult.
There was a plot line?
Well, that's it. I mean, they always told us there was a plot line, and we spent a half hour every day trying to find it somewhere in there.
Mr. Bluster?
That's right.
Flubadub?
Phineas T. Bluster.
Princess Summer, Fall, Winter, Spring?
Right.
Might as well
Clarabelle?
be speaking German here.
Yeah.
That was fun. We've got some kids and some adults, too, that have some questions for Bob and for the captain. Girls, welcome to People Are Talking.
Hi, young ladies.
Who are you?
Who are you? Emily.
Emily?
And Jenny.
And Jenny. Emily and Jenny.
And your question or comment for the captain?
I've always wondered who was in Dancing Bear.
Who is in Dancing Bear? That's the Dancing Bear. Don't you, isn't it Dancing Bear? He's a real bear. He lives in a cave. And he sleeps a lot of the time in the winter time. He's just waking up to welcome spring.
You think so?
You feel better about that now?
What was your
I do, Emily. Jen, how about you?
How did you get the name Captain Kangaroo?
The name Captain Kangaroo, all the captain, very, very early on, had great big pockets. The pockets are no longer as large as they used to be, but they were pockets similar to the pouch in a kangaroo. And he brought you around sort of a museum-like place. So he was a guy, and it was what we grown-ups call alliterative. Howdy Doody, Rudy Kazooty, all the popular programs of that age were alliterative in their title. Captain Kangaroo was so, and it seemed to be a very good idea. That seems to be a very urgent and important question nowadays. In those days, it didn't seem to matter at all.
Oh, you got the name. You all have presents for Captain? Yeah, I saw you had pictures.
Yeah, bring them up. Come on, bring them up to the captain.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you very much, Em. They're very, very nice. Now, I want to show you that Emily has drawn a sun rising above the horizon, and it's very pleasant. And then there's a fellow here in a red jacket talking to Bunny Rabbit, right?
The moose.
That's not Bunny Rabbit?
No, he played a trick on you and his ping pong balls fall.
Ping pong balls. Oh, that's the Dancing Bear. No? No, what's his name?
Mr. Moose.
Mr. Moose, I should have known.
Did you all draw those yourself? Did you draw the pictures yourself? Very
Yeah,
nice.
very, very nice.
I love
Thank
the color
you, Jenny,
schemes.
very much.
Very
Let's
nice.
give our girls, our artists, a round of applause.
Thank you, girls.
Cap, I was going to call you Captain. Bob, I'll call you either. How do you feel? I think it's an awesome responsibility. You know, a lot of people have come and gone in TV, but you really have been here 27 years. You must feel, because you're such a campaigner for the rights of children in this country and for quality TV for children, you must feel an awesome responsibility because of who you are, of what you've become.
Well, of course, it does become a great weight if one sits down and says, I have an awesome responsibility. That's not the way you function every day. You just simply are what you are in terms of being the human being that you are, and function that way. And I think that it would be very difficult if I didn't have in my basic character a feeling of responsibility and understanding and respect for young people. It would be difficult to do the kind of programming I do. So starting out with that respect, and I think having formed that character many, many years ago, I think I don't really think too much of the responsibility. I just take every day as it comes along and try to do my best.
You know, we do shows and we have child psychologists on the show. What I've seen, not being a parent, but what seems to be a basic problem with parents and other people with children is that they do not recognize that children are people. You know, they talk to children, they talk down to children, and do not respect them. I think that if you just looked at children as being people, just a little smaller than the rest of us, but people, that we wouldn't have all these
Well, they are indeed people. They are human beings. They're not orangutans. They're not chihuahuas. They are human beings, and they have the same basic equipment that we all have when we grow up, except for that experience that we gained in growing up and that education and other things along the way. But basically, they are capable of understanding. They merit the respect and they merit the time. And I guess that's the number one thing that we don't give to children today is time.
And we as a society are in such a hurry these days that we don't give them that time.
Yeah, parents are probably under, despite the fact that we thought we were going to be finding ourselves with technological changes in industry.
3-day work weeks, yes.
3-day work weeks. And we do probably work less than we used to, but we find other things to do with that time other than spending it with our children. And that's basically all. We can't buy kids off with stereos and Hot Wheels and the greatest toys and automobiles when they get older. That hasn't worked. We know that. What we really have to do is give them our time. That's the one ingredient that we as parents have to give them. And if we give them that, then everything else will fall in line. Parenting is very instinctive, and it's a very natural thing to do and a very rewarding thing to do if we do give the time.
You think it's instinctive?
Oh, I think so, yes.
You don't think you need to read books and have parenting schools?
I think that's one of the crimes of our age, is that we have so many programs, how-to books and television shows, and my child just burped 3 times in a row. Quick, run to the library and see what that means. Well, I think we've dulled some of our instincts with that pop psychology, and we should get back to basics. I think our kids today are. Our young parents today are.
We're trying. Unless you don't consider me a young parent, Oprah. Welcome to People Are Talking. Your question for Bob.
Yes, first, I guess I'd like to thank Bob for all those happy hours that I had with my children watching your show.
You're very good. That's very nice.
I really did enjoy it, although now I'm beginning to feel old since you've been talking about the ages. If you had the power to select a scheduling of children's programs, what type programs would you have, other than your own? Of course, you're a bit prejudiced, I guess, but some of the other type programs.
Well, children are not only human beings, but children are different. The children are not a monolith. When we say, what good program is there for children? Well, there isn't any one good program. There are many different good programs because there are many different children in different stages of development, from different backgrounds. A woman in Texas once told me that the program that she could not allow her children to watch was the Donna Reed Show. Now, if you remember the Donna Reed Show, nothing could be more saccharine. Nice mommy, nice daddy, nice kids, nice nice
Donna
home
Reed
life.
Show.
Okay, but this woman was a psychologist at a home for children awaiting adoption. They were 11 and 12 years of age. They would never be adopted, probably. And so what they watched in that show, they brought that experience to that program and saw a nice home, nice mommy, nice daddy, and started beating each other up afterwards. It led them to aggressive behavior because of the peculiar, special, unique experience that they brought to that program. So you can't say this is a good program or that's a good program for children. Who makes that decision? The one who's responsible responsible for the child. Usually the parent is the one who has to make that decision. There was a report that was issued yesterday on television and violence and the effect of violence on young people, television violence. I think there is a relationship. But what they say in the report, and one of the reports, is that children who have trouble relating to their parents and relating to their peers watch more television than others and are aggressive in their behavior.
What does that suggest to you?
Well, that doesn't suggest anything to me except that a child who is not socialized, who has trouble getting along with his parents, has trouble getting along with his peers, is a loner and spends more time watching television.
Yeah.
The well-adjusted child is out playing ball with kids or having a tea party with her friends or whatever, and is therefore not watching as much children. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? I think that the point is there is a relationship between television violence and behavior of children, but we've got to be very careful not to use it as a scapegoat to overlook the basic ills in our dealing with children, because you know, the violence that we do to children every day, child abuse and hunger and incest and all of those things are not going to be solved by taking Kojak and Starsky and Hutch off the air.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question.
That sometimes I agree that it's used as a scapegoat. Back to the woman's question about programming. I recently got up early on a Saturday morning to watch cartoons because it's something I hadn't done in a long time.
What'd you think?
I disappointed. I cannot believe what's happened to Saturday morning programming. It used to be you could count on that for the kids.
Yeah, well, usually they're not. The worst I can say about Saturday morning program is that it's dull. It's very bad artistically, and there is some violence in it. Sometimes we have programs that are very consciously loaded with what they call pro-social values, and they are so badly done creatively that I don't think I could watch.
What's happened? I mean, why is that? I mean, is it people don't care what kids watch
I think
anymore?
people generally don't care. We have a fellow down in Washington, D.C., who's the new chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, who made a statement a few months ago that we really don't have to worry about what broadcasters do with children's programming because the marketplace will take care of kids. Well, you know, if the marketplace is going to take care of young people on television, God help the Republic.
Yeah.
Because the average advertiser does not read Jean Piaget. The average advertiser reads the annual report. And he doesn't care very much about what's in the minds and hearts of children. He cares about what's in the pockets of children. And how can he turn them upside down and shake them out and get the quarters to fall?
Yep.
So, you know, we've got to, all of us in society, got to be concerned about what we're doing culturally for our children. And television is a very big cultural influence on
All
our
right,
children.
back to our audience in just a moment. We'll be back with the captain.